Hi, Leb. Good morning, good
Good
afternoon,
morning.
or good night, whatever it may be. Some radio hosts used to say that. So, I want to get right into today's topic, which I think is going to just be logo design, since we've been talking so much about it internally and working on so much of it externally. I don't know if that makes any sense. But I thought today we might cover logo design and what makes a great logo and what makes a bad logo and just the state of logos in the legal community in general today. How's that sound?
I think it sounds great.
So, part of our process when we're doing web design work is to really start with the logo and then provide that to the designers and have them design around that. And as of late, I've noticed that a lot of our new clients, most of them don't actually have a logo. They have text that simply states their law firm's name and nothing else. What about you? Have you kind of perceived the same thing I've been perceiving?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of firms don't necessarily realize it's actually important, and kind of what it can do to benefit their firm.
Yeah, I mean, I would be curious just to look up logo in general. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look up logo and I'm going to see what the internet says about this definition. Here's what I got from Wikipedia. You ready?
Yep.
A logo, which is a Greek word, aren't all of them, is a graphic mark, emblem, or symbol commonly used by commercial enterprises, organizations, and even individuals to aid and promote instant public recognition. I think that's probably maybe the most important part of that is instant public recognition.
Attorneys, law firms, they're just like any other brand. You want something that's instantly recognizable so people know right away that's you. Just the same thing with Coke, with any major products, or with you look at bands, anything. Look at a perfect example is social media. Especially as everybody's kind of signed up for social media now, you see the little iconic F, the little bird, even the G plus. Everywhere on everybody's site. I mean that's really, I think, speaks to just how what it can do, how iconic it is. Everybody recognizes it, knows exactly what to do. You can communicate a lot of information, important information, through a logo in the right context. So, I mean, you put the Facebook logo on there, everybody knows that, okay, well, if I want to go to the Facebook page, I click that. It's not like you have a description. Well, not recent websites. Maybe some older websites will be like, hey, check us out. You look at recent websites and it just shows the icon and everybody knows what to do.
Yeah, so yeah. No, and I think, I mean, as far as other people's logos, there's a utility function of it. I mean, obviously we incorporate, social networking logos into websites and people see them, and if they know what those sites are or have their own accounts with them, they know instantly, oh, that's an indication for me to click here if I also want to have some content through that medium. But for attorneys, it's like what you said. You can give a lot of information in a logo, but from a consumer's perspective, I think logos help us make decisions quickly, right? They can help us make decisions quickly. Now, you had referenced Coke. Coke obviously is one of the most iconic logos in the United States. In that sense, that logo doesn't help us make a decision so much as it tells us, hey, this is, hey, I'm right over here. That thing you're looking for, I'm right over here. It's more of a signaling thing
Totally.
than an information thing. And so I wonder, how do lawyers take a logo and at what point does it deliver information, or at what point does it tier from simply delivering information to where it starts to signal something to someone? And maybe, I think of you in the well, let me backtrack for a second. There's an old adage in advertising that it takes 7 or 8 exposures to a logo or to a name before on that 9th exposure someone will actually recognize it. How does that play into what you're doing in the online space with regard to logos?
Well, you want something that's going to resonate with people, I think. Otherwise, I mean, people are served, a lot of visual information over the course of their day. You want something that kind of stands out apart from the crowd, or else it's not going to get noticed. If you have, like it says, it takes repeated contact for you to actually kind of acknowledge something like that. And I think if you have something that just doesn't stand out from the crowd, doesn't make an impact, doesn't leave somebody with some kind of impression, no matter how small, then you're starting from farther behind, trying to get people to actually kind of interact with that logo in a way that's meaningful for the law firm or the attorney.
Yeah, and what I would say is if you're going in to launch a site. It's not just the marketing that the logo is important for. It's definitely important. I mean, but the logo is going to go on the business card, and that's going to maybe probably handed out to clients as well as other attorneys. It's going to go on the stationery, which is going to show up in some defense attorney's office or some insurance company's office. And so, what message do you want to send there? And then it's going to show up online and be seen by consumers. So again, what message do you want to be seen there? And can you find a way to make that consistent? So, in law, I mean, going back to what you said, yeah, can you kind of make something that stands out and what we say here, cut through the clutter? And, I know in my own head what the answer to this question is, but, when we see other law firm logos, I mean, what's the majority of the things that we see in them? I mean,
usually it's just text. I mean,
and if there is an image, I mean, what are the images we see over and over and over again?
You'll have a gavel, or the scales of justice, and that's iconic for a reason. I mean, it clearly communicates the concept, but it's also tired. I mean, if everybody's using the same thing, then it just gets blown out.
Yeah. Yeah, I would absolutely agree. And I think if you have, I mean, in the online marketing and the remarketing that we do, we have a lot of opportunities to do graphically based marketing, in which the logo is not the only thing that appears. The logo is accompanied by some text that further explains that, yes, this is a personal injury attorney or a criminal defense attorney or whatever the case may be. But if you have something that no one else is using, and you have somebody who's looking for an attorney and they're not quite sure yet whether they really want to hire someone or whether or not it's time to contact them, of the gavel, scales of justice, or blank new innovative logo, which one are they more apt to remember when it comes time to contact an attorney?
Exactly. It's got to have something that stands out from the crowd and actually leaves an impression. That's right.
And so, not even in our own work, Leb, but I mean, other work in general. What are some things? Are there any logos that stand out in your mind as stuff that's been especially effective?
Well, like I said with the social media stuff, that's I think that's really interesting precisely for those reasons. Like, there's so much gets communicated, but with those logos. I think, seeing the way logos are designed these days, I think people are doing pretty interesting things, from, some of like the vintage logo styles that people are, kind of calling back to some of the more really like interesting modern stuff that is getting made. I think just with everybody having access to really powerful editing, graphic editing software, you can do a lot of really interesting things these days. And there's just a lot more stuff being done that's really appealing, and kind of at the same time that some of it's going backwards, some of it's going forwards.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and what I want to, remind listeners and lawyers as well is, it is not to think about your name so much or your icon so much to start off with when you're thinking about new logo design, but to think about your promise, right? So, in our own business, our promise is tied to our core values and our mission statement. But think about your promise, and what is the promise that you're making to your potential clients? I like the idea of the shield, which we've used before, which is not a traditional legal icon per se, because the shield reminds me of protection, right? I think about stuff like, we want to take some kind of weight off your shoulders, or we want to kind of relieve you from something, I mean, I'm speaking off the top of my head, but I think about a feather, something as light as a feather. Could we turn these really heavy problems into something that light? Freedom from, especially in the case of criminal defense. I don't know why any criminal defense attorney would ever use handcuffs as part of their logo. I mean, that seems like the dumbest thing in the world. I think you should.
Our promise to you.
Our promises to you. That's right. Are these handcuffs? Now, maybe the handcuffs are empty, but that's still dumb. People are looking for freedom, right? And so how do you create a symbol, whether it be literal or abstract, but that best represents freedom, right? That's the outcome. That's the outcome from that interaction with the criminal defense attorney, not handcuffs.
Yeah.
So at any rate, and then you got stuff, funny plays on names, and I don't want to be promoting, the bear or the rooster or the law hawk, although I do love the law hawk, and I know he does that tongue in cheek. But if your name was Leb Bear, then there might be a good play on there that wouldn't be tasteless. But
Bear's actually my middle name. Danger Bear. It's the Leb Danger Bear Borgerson.
But if you're into intellectual property and that's your thing, then ideas and light bulbs. Just what is it? What is the outcome? I know we have another client who was an attorney and also a former chiropractor, and we found a way to, I know this sounds weird, but I think tastefully include something in the logo that looks like a spine or the curvature of a spine, kind of tying his law practice and his back practice together. Motorcycle accident attorneys in the road, handlebars, things of that nature. So there's plenty to be done if you're willing to really sit down and think to yourself, what are the promises that I'm making to my client as far as what problems I'm going to alleviate for them, and two, what is the outcome that clients can expect from my firm, and is there a way to turn that into some graphics?
Recently, I think you can do interesting things with that speak kind of to what makes your firm individual. Like you said, with the attorney who has a lot of years of experience as a chiropractor. We have another law firm we just did a logo for, and it's a lion. His old logo incorporated a lion as well, and it was a good logo, but it needed an update, and so we got kind of incorporated that lion theme, and then also added the tagline. It's a family-run law firm, and the tagline for the firm's "Our Pride is Family." So that really speaks to a theme that's been kind of a constant throughout his law firm throughout its history, but also incorporates the fact that it is a family-run firm. A lot of the branding we did for them kind of relates back to the fact that they are family-run. They work for their clients like they're a member of their family. And I thought it was a really great personalized way to, really communicate a strong message for this attorney. And the logo turned out really nice. It's a beautiful logo, and it's, I think, a much needed and very appropriate update.
Yeah, and a nice play on words, as a lion's family is also called a pride. So
exactly.
And I think what's important to point out in that case is, that is a personal injury law firm who has found a way to cut through the clutter of everybody else, and rather than making the promise of we'll give you a free case review and work your case on a contingency fee basis, their promise is as we promise to put our family to work for yours. That we are a family-run personal injury law firm. 4 members of our family work here, and that we are going to treat you just like you're a member of ours. And I think that that's a very powerful message when, let's say, you're stacking 3 or 4 websites together and you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to try and pick which attorney I think is going to serve me best. Well, this one says I can be contacted simply by dialing 2s. Okay, so their offer is I'm the easiest to get a hold of. Okay, the second one says that you'll always talk to a lawyer, not a paralegal. Well, I sure hope so, and everyone should be offering it. And this third one says that we'll give you a free case review and work on a contingency fee basis. Well, I've seen 4 websites, so I understand that everyone does that. And then let me look at this fourth one. Well, this fourth one actually, I can see pictures of the family. They're a family-run firm, and they're willing to treat my family like their own. Given those 4 options, which one are you more apt to choose? Well,
completely.
Some people will choose, well, I don't care who I hire. I just want the fastest person, right? And that's fine, and you may have a good result, or you may have a bad result. That's not how I do business, but I'd at least my curiosity would be sparked by this person who's willing to treat my family like their own. So yeah, kind of, going off that same theme, we've talked about the logos and trying to create something iconic, trying to cut through the clutter, trying to do a little bit more than just simply stating your name and your initials, though, that can be done creatively as well. But let's talk about these taglines, if you will, or, these slogans.
Mottos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are they appropriate for law firms? Because I'm here in the trenches, right? I was LawFather's first sales guy, so I was the first guy to go out and try and tell people about the opportunities that online marketing created for them. And to be frank, there was a lot of pushback in the sense that a lot of people said, well, I think it's totally inappropriate for law firms to market. And here we are, almost 10 years later, and I don't mean to be. I want to be careful to say that this was not just old people with an old school mentality. There are a lot of people across age groups who felt that way. But what I would say is that as younger lawyers and younger law firms are kind of coming up and becoming more of a staple of our business, that more of them are receptive to the idea of marketing and seem to be across the board, whether they have the money to do it or not. So what about taglines and slogans then? What is your feeling? Are they appropriate for law firms?
Yeah, I think they're completely appropriate. I don't see any kind of any problem with them. As long as they're done right. I think it's important to really, be aware of, what you're trying to communicate and making sure you're communicating the way that you want. But I don't see a problem with using taglines. It's just you're giving people a message. And I think as a firm should be allowed to do that. And I think it's an important thing to do.
Yeah, and I think that law firm logos and slogans or taglines, if you want to call that, I think they need to work together in tandem. I think that they're almost one and the same. We would never create a logo without also creating an accompanying, slogan or tagline for it, if you will. But I think it serves 2 important purposes. One, it tells a potential client as quickly and as concisely as it can be done exactly who you are or who your firm is and what your firm stands for, right? Mm-hmm. But I think the second thing that is given even less attention, and in some aspects may even be more important, is the fact that this tagline also tells your staff and your employees and the other attorneys in your firm exactly what's important to you and exactly what your expectations are. And I think that can be lost on attorneys as they hustle and bustle to throw together a logo and a tagline and get their internet marketing going, is that these messages aren't just for your potential clients. They're also for everybody that works for you and everybody that knows you. And it helps dictate, from my opinion, the kind of culture that's going to exist there in that law firm.
It can do double duty, and it can serve as a mission statement almost. Kind of a commitment that you're making to the people that you're helping. And I think the mission statement thing, I think, is a really important aspect of it. Kind of the code by which your law firm works at. You can kind of encapsulate your entire working philosophy into this one sentence. I think it is. I know when people are just starting off their law firm, there's a lot of loose ends to think about, a lot of things to pull together, and I think it can be overwhelming. But I think it's important, and acknowledging that and starting from that position where, you're really out of the gates clearly stating what's important to you and why you're doing the work that you're doing. I think is important on many different levels, not just how you communicate to others, but how you communicate within, the firm. And then also it's a reminder for yourself, when you see your logo, you're like, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing this. I'm here to help people. I'm not just here, trying to make a buck.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so important that when attorneys go through this process, that they be personally involved and make sure that whatever the outcome of the logo and tagline development is actually something that means something to them, because I think that you're totally right on. You can go hire a marketing firm and a graphic design firm to come up with a logo and a tagline for you, but that doesn't guarantee that it actually means something to you. And I think that you're absolutely right. It has to serve as a reminder to owners too, that this is what I said mattered to me. This is what I said was important. This is what I said I believed in. This is what I said I went to law school for. This is what I got up for every morning. This is why I come into the office. This is the promise that I made. And so you better be damn sure that it's something that you can live with, and that when you look at it every morning, it inspires you to work just as hard as you require everyone else who works for you to work.
Completely.
And I believe that those taglines and slogans should be derived from your mission statement, which is derived from your core values, which is something we will talk at length about on other podcasts. We don't have to do right now, but today's focus remains on logos and taglines. And on that, Leb, is there anything else on this issue that you'd like to add? Because I think we are kind of starting to run out of time. Any tips for anyone on how to go about starting that process?
Well, I think certain things, it's important to keep in mind some basic things just about logo design. Keep it clean. I think simple. Remember, you're trying to communicate some information as quick as possible. So keep it clean. Keep it classy when it applies.
Yeah. I would add don't use photography. I've seen some logos where it's actually like a picture of somebody, and that just doesn't translate well to stationery and business cards and backdrops and PowerPoint presentations.
Totally.
So yeah, and like you said, I think keep it flat. I think you pare it down and you keep it as simple as you can without losing the message.
Yeah, it's got to be simple, memorable. It's got to be appropriate to what you're using it for, of course. I think it's important to be versatile too, and be able to put it into different contexts depending on whether or not it's going to be something online, whether or not it's going to be video, whether or not it's going to be something that you're printing up. I think it's good to have it in a lot of be able to recontextualize it in a lot of different ways. And have it be something that you can, that you're going to be happy with for a while. Try and keep it, something that will endure and be good for a long time. Because hopefully, if you get the right one, that's your essentially part of your face to the public.
Right. No, I absolutely agree. I mean, Lord knows we've gone through a couple here and are thinking about it again ourselves. Because once you get the logo, as your own priorities change and your own interests change, I don't think that it's unfair to update your logo and mission statement as well to reflect those, because as you said, it also has to be something that inspires you, and so a periodic update is not something that is a consequence of failure, but simply a reminder that your own priorities have changed, your own interests have changed, and maybe it's time to update the logo as well.
Totally.
Okay, Leb, well, great show. I appreciate you doing it with me, as always.
My pleasure. Have a good Thanksgiving.
You have a good Thanksgiving too, and we'll get back to this next week.
All right, sounds good. See you later.
All right, bye-bye.